We have all suffered from the effects of lockdown over the last year, in one way or another. As church musicians, few of us have been able to continue our ministry in any meaningful way. The RSCM has been supporting church musicians and clergy in many ways over the past year, with webinars, online services, and training videos. As we think ahead to coming out of lockdown, I think it's safe to say that we won't be getting back to normal instantly, which is why I have commissioned a number of composers to write communion settings that can be used in a number of different ways as we gradually resume church services. The first composer to have delivered is my old friend, Dr. Peter Nardone. As a music publisher, I've been working with Peter since the last century, with his wonderful set of précis and responses, which feature regularly on Radio 3 Choral Evensong and are used worldwide. Peter's other popular works include I Give to You a New Commandment and the Mass of St. Ced, one of two Mass settings available to download from the Church of England's A Church Near You resource hub, and rumoured to be included in the forthcoming revised English hymnal. So Peter, the Kilcreggan Mass, an unusual name perhaps for us English folk. Tell us a little bit about the name and where it comes from.
Well, there are two musical connections. One was my old music teacher in Paisley, used to live in Kilcreggan. Kilcreggan is on the north side of the Firth of Clyde. And in order to get to work every morning, he had to take the ferry to Gourock, the train to Paisley, and the 1.5 mile walk to the school. He did that every day for about 30 years. The second thing is that one of my very dear friends, Dr. Peter Christie, is organist at St. John's Church, Episcopal Church in Greenock. And Greenock and Gourock are very close to one another. And from his sitting room window on the hill in Gourock, he has a view of Kilcreggan. I therefore thought, well, what a nice name to give to a Mass setting, which would be in a sort of Celtic style.
So am I right in thinking that that Peter asked you to write a Mass setting that sort of covered exactly what we were after?
Well, it sort of grew out of a conversation because some of the last time that music was happening in his church in Scotland, the rules are slightly different in Scotland, Wales and England, as you know, for who's allowed to do what. He was using a Cantor, and I suggested that it would be a good time, this would be a good time to teach a new Mass setting to the congregation. The idea being that if there was a Cantor singing it, perhaps online, if then once the congregation was back, the Cantor was continuing to sing it, perhaps the choir could come. Actually, if it was a congregational Mass, by the time the congregation were allowed to sing, they'd know it backwards from having listened to it, and they would have subliminally been taught a new Mass setting, thus allowing them to move on from Dom Gregory Murray or Marbeck or whatever they've been, certainly, whatever they've been attached to for the past 60 years.
If they haven't already taken up the Mass of St. Ced.
Ah, well, many have.
It is actually our best-selling of all Mass settings at the moment. So now, with a name like that, you'd expect it to have a certain melodic feel to it. Am I right in thinking that?
Yes, I would say that I've based this very simple. This is not a Mass setting which is musically challenging. It's not challenging for anybody to listen to or to sing, but it is appealing. So, and I think that there are very simple within that. I should warn people. I'm actually sitting at the grand piano now, you see, and actually, what you can do is. If you stay within a structure, a very, very straightforward structure of kind of modal chords, then you can build. These are the building blocks of your Celtic music. So you've got your major chord, you've got the minor chord and another minor chord. So you've got your tune. Etc. Now, of course, that maybe sounds a little sad almost, but actually, if you turn it into a sanctus, you've got your sort of holy, 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 Lord God of hosts. And through simplicity, you actually draw people in. I think that's what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, it is. I mean, I suppose I was just slightly disingenuous just then, because of course I've heard the piece. I know how it goes, and it does have this wonderful feel to it. In very much in the same vein, I feel, as some of the John Bell hymns that we chose when we were compiling the Ancient and Modern Hymn Book. Do you feel that it has that relate? I mean, that John uses a lot of traditional Scottish melodies in his hymns, doesn't he?
Yes.
Is there a sort of a relationship there?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's no doubt that, for example, that's out of the same stable, isn't it? And,
yeah.
So yes, I think that you know, it's tapping into that, and it's creating a sort of unity within that. Actually, we just need to have a greater. It's a genre of music and worship that that appeals to people, but we just need to have better resources for it. And I'm hoping, without well, just without promoting myself too much as the great savior of Celtic music, I'm hoping that it will be something which will resource people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I very much think it will be. It's a wonderful setting, and it will be available from the RSCM website as of the end of next week, so the middle of March. Thank you very much, Peter. It's been wonderful talking to you, and people, just check out the RSCM web shop, and you'll find details of Peter's new mass setting available shortly.